Righto, we're live. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the scheduled April meeting of Swan Hill Rural City Council. I'd like to particularly welcome everybody in the gallery and those of you watching on the live stream for this meeting. Swan Hill Rural City Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and pays its respects to their elders past and present. Councillor Ingerfield, could you read the opening declaration, please? Thank you. Please be seated. We have all councillors present, so we have no apologies today. Directors and officers present. Scott Barber, Chief Executive Officer. Michelle Granger, Director, Development and Planning. Bruce Myers, Director of Community and Cultural Services. Leah Johnston, Director of Infrastructure. Stephen Fernando, Director of Corporate Services. Tamara Matthews, Executive Support, and Sharon Lindsay, Executive Assistant. Could I have someone to confirm the minutes from the scheduled council meeting held on Tuesday the 17th of March, please? Moved Councillor Rogers, seconded Councillor Thornton. All those in favour? That is carried. Thank you. Do we have any disclosures of conflict of interest, councillors? No conflicts of interest, thank you. We have no requests for joint letters. We have no joint letters, reading of petitions, open forum. So we will move right through to agenda item 2.1, which is the declaration of a special rate for the Swan Hill region. And I'll ask the Director of Development and Planning, Ms Granger, to give her report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So this report details the proposal to extend the special rate for Swan Hill Incorporated. The rates existed since 2002. We've got a current request in writing asking for the rate to be continued for another period of 10 years. The rate applies to tourism and hospitality businesses, to commercial and industrial businesses with Swan Hill and Lake Boga and some outlying districts. Council has completed all its legislative requirements by consulting with the community in releasing this request for an extension of the special rate. It received, in response to about the 900 letters we sent out, submissions, 1 submission in support of the rate, 5 submissions opposing the special rate, and 1 late submission, again, that wasn't in support of the special rate. When we put the notice out to the community and people lodged submissions, we also asked if they wanted to speak directly to council to their submission. We had 1 submitter take us up on that opportunity and have that hearing. The submission in support of the special rate highlights that the continuation of the work of Swan Hill Inc. is bringing tens of thousands of visitors to the region, and without the marketing of Swan Hill Inc., queries what publicity Swan Hill region would receive. Submissions objecting to the special rate, and I won't go through every submission received because I'll take the report as read. I'll just turn to some of the major issues raised. What have the benefits of the special rates delivered and how effective have the programs been? And council receives an annual report and an annual budget from Swan Hill Inc. that talks about what's been achieved in that previous 12 months. There's 2 businesses that say they don't believe they receive any special or any direct benefit from the special rate. However, when we strike a special rate under the Local Government Act, you need to strike it to all properties within the geographic area of nominated, and you can't remove an individual business. You would need to remove a class of businesses. Because we've only had 2 submissions really based on this, or 3 submissions asking not to be included, there was no consistent approach from the business community or a sector of the business community that would support removing a class. There has been talk about the rate no longer being fair and equitable, that the rate could only be voluntary, and that it only supports certain sectors. In response to those issues, we would say that, again, it continues being applied in the same geographic area, that it wouldn't work as a voluntary rate. I think that would be very hard for Swan Hill Inc. or any business to sustain the marketing and training programs they offer without knowing what their income is from year to year. So generally, what we are recommending to council, now that we've met our statutory requirements, is that we note we've met our statutory requirements, we declare a special rate, and we declare it in accordance with the request for a 10-year period. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ms Granger. Are there any questions, councillors? Councillor Thornton.
Thank you, Ms Granger, for your report and the report in the council agenda papers. It's really informative and helps us to make the decisions that we need to make. Just a query on extending the special rate for 10 and not 7, the original 7 years. If you could explain further the grounds for that.
So I suppose that largely bears on the administrative costs associated with going out for the rate. The terms when the rate was initially struck were 5 years. The last 2 periods have been 7 years, and they're just looking at a longer rate again to reduce that burden of costs.
Any other questions? If there's no other questions, could I have a motion from Councillor Jennings?
Yes, Mr Mayor, as per the recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Seconded, Councillor Broad. Councillor Jennings, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. My history with Swan Hill Inc. is pretty well documented. Having had 51 years in retail here in Swan Hill, and for a lot of that period of time I was involved in iterations of Swan Hill Inc., both before the levy and post, and I've seen both sides of it. I've seen the model where we needed to go out to businesses and ask them for some funds to do promotion, to promote predominantly the business district, and then we had another group of moteliers and the like hospitality people that would do their own thing. And you know, it was tough going. We couldn't get any support from very easy for traders and the multinationals to say no. So when this opportunity came about in 2002, I believe, it was a wonderful thing, and it was a fair and equitable for all businesses to contribute. There was a division between tourism and hospitality, between retail, and also between the industrial sectors. And the levy was scaled in accordance with which business you were in. So if you're in the middle of the main town, like main block, like myself, you paid the most, and that's as it should be. So I've seen Swan Hill Inc. develop over a long period of time to be, as I think per the submission in favour of, to be a very well-run organisation that's achieving great results and really showcases our region both in a retail destination, but also as a destination for people. And you know, in all of our marketing, we look at wanting people to come to Swan Hill, to live in Swan Hill and invest in Swan Hill. So, you know, I think they do that very well. If you look at any of their promotions, they're professional, they hit the mark, and I think they're just going from strength to strength. So I can't speak highly enough of where Swan Hill Inc. has evolved to. I think it's the only fair and equitable way that everyone contributes. You know, there's been some suggestions that, well, things are tough, we should pull back, and I view it the other way, that you've got to have your name up in lights, whether it's your own business or your municipality, and we're competing with other regions, just even in the domestic market, like Bendigo and like Ballarat, like Mildura and like Echuca. So if we want to get our visitation, we need to be in there telling people about what we have to offer, and I think we do that pretty well. So I'm very much in favour of it. I'm pleased to see that we're looking to do it for 10 years because it's coming back in 5 years, going through the process again. And the other thing that I'll just make note of that there are some objectors, but in my time in Swan Hill Inc., there's been quite a number of people who started off as non-supporters, who, when they came along and actually got involved, there's a number of them now that are actually board members, and one in particular who no longer has a business but sees the merit, and he was one that didn't really see the benefit of being in the industrial area. Said, well, what's Swan Hill Inc do for me? Well, that particular person is now a long-time board member. So I think I would encourage those that have put in submissions against to get involved, come along to some meetings, or go along to some meetings, I should say, see what actually does take place, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised in what bang for buck we're getting.
Thank you, Councillor Jennings. Councillor Broad, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm not sure how to add any more to that, but I will just emphasise that this is just a continuation of a levy that's already in existence and has been since 2002. So we're not introducing any new rate, any more burden. It's just a continuation of a fantastic levy that's done a lot of work. Without it, tourism and marketing would absolutely crumble in Swan Hill. If Swan Hill Inc doesn't do it, who does? Yeah. Look, there is an absolute collective benefit to tourism. Any tourism dollar goes a long way in any small town. I am the council delegate on the board of Swan Hill Inc, and I can tell you that the finances are audited, council is often updated on what goes on, and they're absolutely true to their charter of marketing and tourism. So removing the rate would create a gap that would take a lot of time and resources and money to fill. So I'm absolutely in favour of 10 years. I think it's a fantastic initiative. They do a lot of great work. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Broad. Do we have any speakers against the motion? Does anybody else wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Rogers.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I sat in this seat 20 years ago and I had the same topic put before me, and I was pretty hesitant which way to go, and I argued that it should only be a 3-year period, not a further extension on that. But in my time, seeing Swan Hill Inc grow, seeing the potential that it's done, and being from a farming background, if you don't sow a seed, you don't reap a crop. So I see Swan Hill Inc doing an absolutely fantastic job, and I think if the objectors out there seeing what we as councillors see our town growing and things changing around here, they would soon change their view as well. In spending some time in Echuca over the last festive season, I've noticed that we should be commended, and we're doing actually a better job, I believe, in what they're doing up there. And certainly they're closer to Melbourne and they have more pedal boats than we have, but they attract people. But for the size of our town, the commitment, the passion that Swan Hill Inc's giving us back is just fantastic, and I just want to see it boom. If they've got a plan, they've got 10 years in front of them, I can sure they can plan a lot bigger things. So the ejectors argued about some of the things they had, through COVID. There was their bank balances appeared to be higher than good, but with the planning, the 10 years, I can see some great plans and outcome, and I commend Swan Hill Inc and look forward to 10 years of growth and prosperity.
Thank you, Councillor Rogers. Councillor Thornton.
Thank you. I wanted to speak to this motion because it is a big deal for council and it is a big deal for our community. Swan Hill Inc is promoting our region and doing a great job of it. Having said that, extending the rate from 7 to 10 years I did have some concerns about that. As a new councillor 18 months ago, I have taken the opportunity where I've been presented with it to ask some of those ratepayers how they feel about it, and in every instance I've been met with positivity about the special rate. I want to acknowledge the submissions that we've had on the special rate, and from the positive to those in opposition, I think some really valid arguments were made and some important considerations were brought to the table. And a lot of effort goes into those things. I've had to look at them and balance them, and particularly the extension to 10 years, and I feel that on balance there's a positivity towards it, and there's support for the special rate. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes from that, and looking forward to the community working with council and Swan Hill Inc. for the betterment of our community.
Thank you, Councillor Thornton. Any other speakers to the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you. Agenda item 2.2, the Resource Ready Strategy. Ms Granger.
Thank you, Mayor. Today I present to you the Resource Ready Northwestern Victorian Energy and Mining Impact Readiness Strategy. This is a project that Council has been working with 8 other local governments. So we've been working with Bullock, Gannawarra, Hindmarsh, Horsham, Loddon, Northern Grampians, West Wimmera and Yarra-Ambiac Shires to produce this document. It shows the potential investment in our region in either mining or renewables is around $27.7 billion in planned transmission, renewable energy and mining projects. The strategy proposes 44 recommendations for councils to jointly use for advocacy for a consistent approach to how we deal with projects across the sector. Council endorsement of the strategy wouldn't constitute support for or opposition to any specific project. It's really about how do we support our community with transition and change in energy and mining. I think on page 3 of your report, it shows a table of the types of projects that are currently on the table. And I think it's important to note that the study area covers 26% of Victoria and has a population of approximately 93,000 people within that 26%, and that the forecasted jobs is about 42,300. The themes which the actions relate to talk about community readiness, talk about infrastructure, so particularly our roads and bridges, talks about housing and the shortages we're experiencing at the moment, knowing this industry will bring in a workforce, talks about labour, talks about the local government resources, so the resources that councils have to actually be a party to these renewable energy projects, because it's largely new work for us rather than existing work. Talks about the impacts on agriculture, because most of these facilities are being co-located on farming land. Talks about community benefits, and that's been quite a big discussion for council when we've been making submissions to VicGrid. And it talks about the economic development impacts. So endorsement of this strategy would allow us to incorporate evidence-based information and scenarios into strategic planning. It will give us a strong base to advocate individually and as a group of councils. It will fulfil assessment obligations for major project referrals, because we're asking for some support to assist us do this specialist work. It will allow us to engage with our community, and hopefully a more meaningful engagement than what some of our communities have experienced to date, and demonstrate prudent governance. So we are asking council to endorse this strategy today. We are the last council of the group of councils to take that decision, and once that's done, there'll be some community consultation across the region rolled out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Granger. Are there any questions, councillors, in relation to the report? If not, could I have a motion, please? Councillor Thornton.
Recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Jennings, sorry, mental blank. Councillor Jennings. Councillor Thornton, you wish to speak to the motion?
Thank you, I will. I'd like to thank Ms Granger for her report and for the leadership shown in participating in this strategy with the other councils that are involved. I think it clearly gives us a good picture and a basis of information, evidence of the opportunities that are coming with the energy transition, but also the risks and how we need to prepare as a community for that and ensure clear community benefits. I think the current energy issues that we're having as a result of international issues and the war and the Strait of Hormuz show clearly how important energy is for every single household and every single business across our municipality and the nation and the world. So we need to be prepared, and this strategy allows us to be better prepared than we might have been. I look forward to working with my fellow councillors to ensure that we take the opportunities but also don't minimise the risks that it will present as this energy transition goes forward.
Thank you, Councillor Thornton. Councillor Jennings, do you wish to speak?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yes, look, I support endorsing the Resource Ready Northwest Victoria Energy and Mining Impact and Readiness Strategy, as the name suggests. I believe we're on the cusp of generational development and investment here in our region, and there's lots of benefits, so I will repeat a couple of the stats that Ms Granger mentioned, but more on a localised basis, the economic impact of that $27 billion across the 9 councils, it's predicted that 2.8 billion of that will be local. There's a construction phase that talks about an increase in regional employment of 10% across all the councils. And there's an operational phase that talks of 2,400 ongoing jobs, of which 80% would be in our region. The annual operations is somewhere in the region of 880 million. Of which 67% of that is local. So it is a big deal for our region, and as I said, I believe it's generational, a generational thing. The report does highlight, though, some critical challenges, and it's also about the preparedness in these critical challenges that we've highlighted, some of those being labour shortages, housing, as we've already got that issue, the infrastructure that would be required to build all of this new investment, community readiness and the capacity of our council to be able to deal with this. Do we need to, how we ramp up to implement all of these new investment that's going to be coming to the region. So I think we're aware of it. We know it's coming in some shape or form, and this is a document that tells us what we need to do in preparedness of it. So I support the endorsement of it.
Thank you, Councillor Jennings. Any speakers against the motion? Any other speakers to the motion? Councillor Rogers.
Yeah, I'd like to say that there's people that are negative out there in some cases and want to put their head in the sand, but it's no good. It's this is what's happening. It's coming down on us, and if we don't position ourselves in the best position to align with it, we'll be at a disadvantage. And if this positions us in the best, have our foot forward to get the best outcome for our municipality, and I can see our community growing well beyond what it is now. So I support the recommendation as it is.
Thank you, Councillor Rogers. Any other speakers to the motion? I'm actually going to speak in favour of the motion, and I'll do it from the chair based on the most recent round of mayoral training that we've had, but I'll ask Councillor Jennings to intervene if there are any points of order and to keep me on time if you could, Councillor Jennings. So yeah, I'm going to speak in favour of the motion. To highlight the points which are highlighted in the report in particular, this is not about Swan Hill Rural City Council rolling out the red carpet to renewable projects or mining projects, and I want people to remember that Swan Hill Rural City Council is not the planning authority when it comes to these scale of projects. The decisions are made at much higher levels than ours, and in saying that, there's a lot of projects that have been done without much consultation with community, without consultation with councils, and without benefit to councils. And we see that every year when we consider our budget, and we find out just how little the solar power stations actually pay towards our rates because they get a free kick essentially from the government. So I just want to be clear that what this strategy does is it aligns the councils that are involved in the strategy to position ourselves in the best way to be able to create the best outcomes when that comes to council infrastructure, so protecting our roads, our bridges, our other assets as well, protecting our agricultural sector as well from and valuable agricultural land, and also, I guess the most important thing is about maximising community benefits. And so if we're working in a coordinated way with these industries that are being put upon us by higher levels of government without much involvement by us, at the very least, this strategy gives us a coordinated approach that we can use to stand up for the people in our community and get the best outcomes that we can possibly get. That's all I want to say. Thank you. Any other speakers? If there's no other speakers to the motion, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Motion is carried. Agenda item 2.3, planning application at 45 Butterworth Street, Swan Hill, subdivision of land into 6 lots. Ms Granger.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an application in the low-density residential zone of 2 lots in combination, where each lot already has an existing dwelling, and there's further subdivision potential now that the land is sewered to create an additional 4 vacant lots. Each lot will be over 2,000 square metres, and the application also seeks removal of an easement, and that is a decommissioned sewerage pipe where the pipe's no longer used and the easement is no longer required. The application was advertised and 2 objections have been received, and the objections both relate to access to lot 6, which is a battle axe shaped lot, so quite a long driveway. In responding to the concerns about site distances using at that access point, the applicant responded with a traffic assessment reviewing that, and our engineering department has also reviewed the access point and believes it is safe in the 50-kilometre environment in which it's going to be located. So generally the application meets the planning scheme requirements. One of the boundaries of the lots created will end up with a shed on a vacant residential lot. One of the conditions, which is a bit unusual, is the Section 173 agreement saying that within 2 years of a statement of compliance being issued, either a dwelling is built on the lot and the shed becomes ancillary, because we don't allow sheds on vacant lots, or that the shed is removed, and that once either of those actions has occurred, then there's no longer any requirement. Why we've got that requirement on there is because it will end up most likely in ownership, different ownership to the people who are using the planning permit. And in the case of subdivision, once a planning permit and titles have been issued, the permit is spent and has no further force or effect. So we are recommending approval of this. As council knows, we have a shortage of low-density residential land, so getting better utilisation of existing service land is a positive outcome. And there's a recommendation before you.
Thank you, Ms Granger. Any questions, councillors? Just a question from me, Ms Granger, just in relation to drainage. My understanding from the report that the drainage is yet to be finalised, and that will be one of the conditions on the report.
Yep.
That will then finalise how that drainage system works for the subdivision. Is that correct?
That is correct. So under the engineering conditions, there's condition 16 and 17 relate specifically to drainage plans and then construction of drainage works required.
Yep. And a question for you or for the Director of Infrastructure, just in relation to drainage again. Recently, last couple of years, there was significant drainage works undertaken in Butterworth Street. Will this subdivision then feed into those upgraded drainage works?
Through you, Mayor, as the works that have been undertaken in Butterworth Street certainly will upgrade the flow that will go into the main drain. Some of the feeding systems still need upgrade work, and obviously that'll be part of the work that gets done as part of the revision of the submitted drainage management plan.
Yep, great, thank you. Any other questions? If not, could I have a motion, councillors? Councillor Englefield?
As per recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Englefield, do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Broad, thank you. Councillor Englefield, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Just briefly, Mr Mayor, to say that this looks like a very good project, provide a bit more low-density rural residential land, which is a good thing. Once all the provisions are enacted, it'll be another little options in the local housing market, which I think people will appreciate.
Thank you, Councillor Englefield. Councillor Broad, do you wish to speak?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Only quickly, just to echo Councillor Englefield, but this is, exactly the kind of development that we want to encourage and that we like saying yes to. Our framework for our planning and development is obviously happy with this, and officers are obviously happy with the conditions on the application, so happy to move to approve.
Thank you. Any speakers against the motion? Anybody else wish to speak to the motion? If not, sorry, yes,
Just
Councillor
briefly,
Jennings?
Mr Mayor, that there's more than adequate conditions on this proposed approval, so I think all boxes have been ticked. So I'm in support of it as well.
Thank you, Councillor Jennings. All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Section 3 of the agenda, 3.1, sign and seal. Mr CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Taken as read, this is quite procedural for ratification.
Are there any questions on the contents of the report? If not, could I have a mover for the report, please? Move Councillor Thornton, seconded Councillor Broad. All those in favour? Motion is carried. 3.2, councillor briefings, record of attendance and agenda. I'll just ask councillors if I'll take the report as read. If there are any amendments or changes, please let me know. If not, if I could have someone move a motion, please. Councillor Broad, seconded Councillor Englefield, as per recommendation, I'm assuming. Thank you, that we note the contents of the report. All those in favour? That motion is carried. We have no notices of motion. Do we have any foreshadowed items, councillors? No foreshadowed items. Do we have any urgent items not included in the agenda? No urgent items. So we will go to section 7 to consider and order on councillor reports. And I will ask Councillor Thornton to lead the charge with her councillor report, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have just returned from 3.5 weeks leave, so my report is really brief. I did attend the Warraneen Progress Association meeting directly after our previous council meeting, which is always a pleasure and well worth it. I will make just a comment to say that not attending briefings highlights just how valuable briefings are, and so I'm looking forward to this month attending all the briefings. I'm doing my very best to catch up on the last month, so look forward to what's next. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thornton. Councillor Jennings.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. A reasonably quiet month for myself, but I did take the opportunity over Easter to go out to Lake Boga with a fellow councillor and have a look around the camping areas, in particular areas 4 and 5, but we did go right around the lake. We did also go to the proposed area 2, the yacht club, and there was a major event on there which was fantastic to see. Fully utilised, every spot was taken up. We went via the caravan park on the highway just to get a feel for how many people were utilising it over the Easter period. So that was educational, a good background for us. And the other one I wanted to just note was at our Robinvale meeting just recently, we did have a council tour to the pistachio processing plant, and just for the public's information, very, very impressive. Had been before but hadn't seen it in operation, and it's a credit to the investors there that they process something like 90% of all of Australians' pistachios, and they're in an early stages of development that's going to roll out in the number of modules to something like 10 times the size of what it currently is now, but just outside Robinvale, and it's very, very impressive and something you wouldn't know when you drive past, but to be doing that amount of processing of nearly all of Australia's pistachios in our region is a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jennings. Councillor Rogers.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I can't say I've done a lot, but I did. It's just taken so much thought and time this last month. Yes, we had the pistachio tour. That was outstanding and amazing, and that's got a lot of potential for our farming land. Yes, as discussed, some of the Lake Boga people are disappointed that we may not have got back to them in the time that they expected for us, but we certainly have been touring and focusing on their issue down at the foreshore of Lake Boga, right around Lake Boga, and I've did the tour as well. Spent some time talking about the different issues down there, and looking at the magnificent event of the yacht regatta down there, both on the Saturday, and then I returned back on the Sunday and just enjoyed and took note, and that was great to see. So there's a lot going on. The councillors pretty much, I'm going to speak for all the councillors, we put a lot of time in. We don't stop thinking about the job, and we're passionate about it, and there's a lot more than just the time that we put in here that we put in on the job. So
Thank you. Thanks,
looking forward to the
Councillor
future.
Rogers. Councillor Englefield.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I went along to the citizenship ceremony in Robinvale the other Thursday, which was really good, and we had 3 different groups there at that, and they all had 3 quite independent stories to tell. One group from South Africa, one bloke from Ireland, and the other guy with his wife and child from Cambodia. And just standing around afterwards talking to those people, they're actually really quite impressive, and the commitment that they've made to Australia was something that us natural-born people should probably reflect upon. Other than that, Easter down the river with people from all over the place on the sandbars below the Euston Weir, people from Queensland, people from South Australia. There's a particular sandbar or a group of sandbars down there below the Euston Weir that are now really becoming quite well known on the trail that people travel around on, and Easter down at the sandbar was fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Englefield. Councillor McPhee.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Look, just a couple of things I'll highlight is went up to Yarna Street Tennis Courts just after our last council meeting, end of May. We had a terrific tournament up there. People from all over the world come to play in that tournament, and they were very welcoming and very grateful for the quality of courts that are provided up there. So want to thank the Swan Hill Lawn Tennis Club for the job they do in preparing their courts and what they do up there. And also one of the other things I'll highlight is obviously Harmony Day. We have a great Harmony Day here every year, and once again it excelled as well, the Harmony Day down at the Riverside Park. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McPhee. Councillor Broad.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just coming off the back of school holidays. I was also away for a couple of weeks, but managed to get a few things in there, one of them being Harmony Day, which was fantastic, and the weather did turn it on, as well as the Easter market, which was incredible. I had some family in town and they loved it. I've just come from Hobart, and the Salamanca markets are pretty popular, and I can say that we were right up there for markets, so I was pretty happy with that. And a Swan Hill Link board meeting last night. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Broad. Just touching on mine, there's a few events there that other councillors have already mentioned, so I won't dwell on them, but quite a bit of ongoing engagement in regards to the Murray-Darling Basin Plan review, including a meeting with other representative bodies last week with the Federal Minister for Water, Murray Watt. Shout out to the Parkinson's Peer Support Group, and joined their walk on Sunday morning, which was a lovely morning for a walk down in Riverside Park, and thank them for all the great work that they do. And the I think it was first or second meeting we've had in regards to our election priorities and election advocacy. It wasn't actually with the Honourable Jacqueline Symes, but it was with her office. So, and we already have another couple of those teed up for the coming month. So look forward to ramping up the efforts around election advocacy as we draw closer to November, obviously. So that's it for my report for the month. That actually concludes the ordinary business of council for today's meeting. So I will thank those people in the gallery and those of you watching on live stream for your attendance today, and welcome you back in a month's time for the May meeting of council. Hard to believe it's May already. We will be moving into camera to consider some items. When we come out, we'll only be closing the meeting. So I will thank you for your attendance today. And could I have a motion, councillors, to move into camera? Move Councillor Broad, seconded Councillor Englefield. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Welcome back. We have conducted all our business in camera that need to be conducted, and I will note that Councillor Jennings declared a conflict of interest on one of those items, item 5.2, in relation to Macrae Street, and left the room for that debate. With that, I'll thank you all for your attendance today. Thank councillors and directors for your contribution, and look forward to seeing you again next month at our next scheduled meeting of Swan Hill Rural City Council. I'll declare the meeting closed at 2:59